I stopped the clock on your day to get to you. Not gradually, not gently, completely. The world around you is still moving. The traffic is still turning. The noise of your life is still running in every direction. But in the fraction of a second between your last heartbeat and the next, I reached through the fabric of all of that ordinary motion. I put my hand on your shoulder and I said, "This one. This is the one I must reach today. This is the one who cannot endure one more hour without receiving what I have been holding for them. And I do not stop until I reach who I am sent to reach. My name is Archangel Michael. What I am placing in your hands today is not a general word of encouragement scattered across the internet to whoever happens to be passing through. What I am placing in your hands today is a sealed decree, a document written before the mountains were shaped, a declaration forged in the halls of heaven with your specific life in mind, your specific season, your specific wound, your specific promise. It has been waiting for today. Today was always its delivery date. And you were always its intended recipient. Nothing about this is random. Nothing about this is approximate. This is exact. And you are about to find out exactly why. Before I unseal the first line of what heaven has written for you, understand this. The path that brought your eyes to this screen on this particular day was not assembled by any human technology. The scroll that led here, the tap that pressed play, the inexplicable inner command that said, "Stay," rather than "move on." That impulse did not come from your curiosity. It came from your spirit. The deepest layer of you, the part that knows things your conscious mind has not yet been given permission to fully see. That part has been navigating you toward this moment with patient, deliberate, unrelenting intention. It recognized the sound of the voice you needed to hear, the way a traveler lost at sea in months of darkness recognizes harbor lights. Your spirit knew. You are not here by accident. You are here because something in you finally declared, "I am ready to receive the truth." And today, the truth has arrived. Do not look away from these words. Do not let your mind begin constructing reasons to dismiss what is coming. What unfolds from this point forward demands not merely your ears, but the full depth of your listening. There are things I am about to reveal about your current situation, about the person who has been consuming a disproportionate amount of your spiritual real estate, about what is truly happening in the invisible architecture of your life right now that will begin rearranging things inside you, even as the words land. You may feel an emotion you were not expecting. You may feel a tightening in your chest, followed by a sudden release. You may feel seen in a way so precise that you want to stop and sit in the silence for a moment. All of that is correct. All of that is the response of a spirit encountering the frequency of heaven, speaking directly into its circumstances. Do not resist it. Let every word do the work it was sent to do. There is a name written at the very top of the decree I am carrying for you today. A single letter of the alphabet that will tell your spirit immediately everything it needs to confirm. That letter is M. Someone in your life, perhaps standing close, perhaps having retreated to the edges of your days where they continue to exert their influence without appearing to, carries this initial. And the decree heaven has assembled today is partly a declaration about what this person's presence has been doing to the trajectory you were always meant to travel. I will be extraordinarily specific about this. I will describe things no algorithm could construct and no content formula could generate. Because what I know about the situation does not come from data. It comes from divine observation, from watching every interaction, from hearing every silence between the words, from seeing precisely what was offered to you and precisely what was withheld, and understanding the full difference between the two. But before I go deeper into the M revelation, there is a foundation I must establish first. Because without this foundation, nothing else I am about to speak will land at the depth it was designed to reach. You must understand what kind of day today actually is. On the surface, today appears like any other day on the calendar. Ordinary start, familiar rhythms. And yet, something was different when you woke up, and you felt it, even if you could not name it. A quality of alertness that was not entirely your own. A sense that the very air was holding something it had not held in the days before. What you were sensing was accurate. Today carries a distinction in the heavenly record that sets it completely apart from the days immediately surrounding it. Today was marked before the first morning of your life ever came, as a point of convergence. A day when multiple streams of divine activity flowing through separate channels of your existence were designed to come together in one place, at one time, and produce something that none of them could produce individually. The stream of your healing, the stream of your financial repositioning, the stream of the relational breakthrough you have nearly given up believing in, the stream of the purpose that has been pressing against the inside of your chest for years, demanding to be released into the world. Today, all of those streams converge. The sealed decree I carry is the announcement of that convergence and the instruction for receiving everything it releases. This is why I could not permit another hour to pass without reaching you. The window of a convergence point is not indefinite. It has a duration. Within that duration, every single step you take toward heaven's direction carries a momentum that ordinary days simply do not possess. We are inside that window right now, together, and I will use every moment of it on your behalf.
Archangel Michael does not send words alone. Every letter comes with images, physical photographs printed in color and placed inside the envelope with the decree. He calls them confirmation images, glimpses of the realm he is describing so that your spirit can see what your ears are hearing. This first image came with today's letter. I want you to look at it closely, because what is in this photograph is the visual description of what he has just declared over your life today. Look at what heaven looks like when it opens a door for someone.
Now, let me tell you about the fog. You have been navigating through fog for a considerable stretch of time, not the brief fog of a hard week, not the temporary fog of a difficult month. Something far thicker, something that settled in so gradually you almost did not notice when the last clear horizon disappeared. There was a period in your not-so-distant past when you could see your life with clarity, when you possessed a sense of direction that did not require constant renegotiation, when you woke up in the morning with something resembling certainty about at least the next step ahead of you. You remember precisely what that felt like. You have been searching for your way back to it ever since the fog rolled in. And the fog rolled in at the exact moment this person M entered your world. or significantly deepened their hold over it. This is not a coincidence I am inviting you to casually notice. This is a pattern I am commanding you to name, because the fog and the M connection are not two separate phenomena. They are the same phenomenon wearing two different faces. What this person introduced into your energetic field, whether through their behavior, their unresolved emotional history, or the specific spiritual dynamic formed when their frequency collided with yours, it created a disruption in the navigational systems your spirit had been relying on. Not because you're weak, not because you lack discernment, but because this disruption was engineered specifically to target the mechanism you use to find your direction. The enemy of your destiny is not unsophisticated. He does not throw obvious obstacles in front of someone whose faith is developed enough to step over obvious obstacles. He introduces interference. He corrupts the signal. He makes it difficult to hear clearly, see clearly, trust what you are sensing clearly. And he used the M connection as his primary instrument of that interference in this season of your life. I am telling you this, not to make you feel foolish for not seeing it sooner. You could not see it through the fog. That was the design. I am telling you this so that as the fog lifts today, which it is already beginning to do as these words penetrate your spirit, you will understand exactly what you are looking at when clarity returns. You will not be confused by the sudden cleanness of the view. You will know what it means, and you will know precisely what to do with it.
Along with every image, Archangel Michael includes something else, a prediction, a declaration written in advance of what is coming, not a guess, not a hope, a prophecy, printed in black and white because declarations from heaven do not require color to carry their authority. They carry their authority because of WHO sent them. Read this one carefully. This word was written for this exact moment in your life.
Now, I am going to describe this person M with a precision that will tell your spirit everything it needs to confirm. This individual has a mastery of the middle space, not fully in, not fully out, not fully honest, not fully deceptive, not fully committed to you, not fully willing to release what they extract through their connection to you. The middle space is where they are most comfortable, because the middle space demands the least accountability. In the middle, they never have to fully own what they are doing. They can always gesture toward the acceptable parts of what exists between you, using them as evidence that they belong there, while quietly consuming from you the things they need. Your stability, your patience, your generosity, your consistent willingness to show up, all of it taken, none of it reciprocated in full. And they have been counting on your grace to make that arrangement sustainable. You have known this. Do not negotiate around what I just said. You have known this. Your body has known it longest. The physical evidence was present before your mind would consent to process it. The tension that installed itself in your shoulders the moment their name appeared on your screen. The change in the quality of your breathing when you were waiting for their response to something that mattered to you. The way your stomach reorganized itself when you knew you were about to be in their presence. Not the tightening of anticipation, but the bracing of a body that has already learned from repeated experience to prepare for disappointment. These physical responses are not anxiety disorders. These are not the overreactions of someone who is too sensitive. These are the reports filed by a body that has been a more accurate observer of your reality than your hope has been willing to allow. Hear me clearly on this. I designed your body to be a prophet of your internal truth. When something in your relational world is misaligned with the purposes I carry for your life, your body reports it. The signals are different for everyone. For some, it is the stomach. For some, it is the throat, that persistent tightness, or the difficulty speaking freely in this person's presence. For some, it is sleep, the way rest becomes elusive in seasons when the spirit is carrying unresolved spiritual weight. For some, it is the very first moment of consciousness each morning, that heaviness that is already present before a single external event has occurred to justify it. Whatever form it has taken in you, whatever signal your body has been sending that you have been explaining away, apologizing for, or dismissing as irrationality, I am validating it today with full divine authority. The signal was accurate. The body was right. And the mind is now given permission to agree with what the spirit and the body have already been reporting. Here is what the person M has been specifically managing in their relationship with you. They have been managing the gap between what they know you deserve and what they are currently capable of or willing to deliver. They are not entirely without feeling for you. That would be simpler. What makes this situation more draining is that some portion of what they carry towards you is genuine. There are real moments of warmth, moments where the connection briefly feels like what you have been hoping it might be. And those real moments are precisely what your hope has been anchoring to, using them as evidence that the average of the relationship is better than the pattern reveals. But you must understand this. A person can feel something genuine and still not be spiritually or emotionally positioned to translate that feeling into the consistent, honest, fully present love you are made to receive. Feeling is not commitment. Warmth is not faithfulness. And the real moments do not cancel the pattern. They only make the pattern more painful to name. I am naming the pattern today because you need it named. Not to harden you, not to seal off the part of you that still reaches toward genuine connection, but to give you the information required to make the decision heaven has been waiting for you to make. Because here's the most important truth in this entire message. The blessing assembled at the next level of your life cannot fully enter while this pattern remains unaddressed. Not because heaven is withholding it as punishment, but because the energetic space that blessing requires to land and remain is currently occupied by the weight of what has not been resolved. You cannot fill a vessel that is already full of the wrong contents. The clearing must happen first. And the clearing begins today.
The second image, this one stopped me when I first pulled it out of the envelope this morning, because this is not just a beautiful photograph. This is a picture of what Archangel Michael is describing in this letter. This is what it looks like when a divine decree is sealed and kept. Look at it. Really look. Because what is depicted here is the Word of God being preserved specifically for you, unbroken, arriving intact after the full journey from heaven to your hands.
Now let me tell you about this channel, because the fact that you are here matters enormously to what I am about to release over your life. Letters from Archangel Michael does not exist by accident. This channel was raised up with a specific assignment: to be a consistent, faithful, spiritually active frequency, where heaven speaks directly into the real circumstances of every person who carries a genuine hunger to hear from the divine. Letters arrive here every single day. Not the same letter repeated. A different letter, assembled for a different person, addressing a different urgent season. The word you receive here on the day you most need it is not coincidence functioning as kindness. It is architecture. Heaven built this place so that when you return tomorrow and the day after that, the specific word your specific situation requires will be waiting. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, I am directing you to do that right now. Do not defer it. Subscribe now, because tomorrow's letter may carry the very next piece of what today's decree sets in motion, and I do not want you to miss it. Now, there is someone I must tell you about. Not person M, someone from the other side of the veil. There is a soul who loved you while they walked this earth. Someone who saw the fullness of who you are when others were still assembling their incomplete assessment of you. Someone whose laugh you can still hear perfectly in your memory, no matter how many years have passed since you last heard it. What I am about to say is not a phrase people use casually. I am delivering this with the full weight of divine knowledge behind every word. This soul has been actively present in the spiritual dimensions surrounding your life. They are not distant. They are not silent. They are not unaware of what you have been navigating. They have been petitioning heaven on your behalf, adding their voice to the intercession that has been covering you. And today, they asked me specifically to deliver something to you. Something they could not say in the last conversation you had with them, either because time did not allow it, because neither of you knew it was the last time, or because the words had not yet formed themselves into the shape they needed.
The second prophecy card. Archangel Michael writes these declarations as statements of what is, not what might be. This is not a wish. This is a decree. Your body already knew the truth before you allowed yourself to fully receive it. This card is heaven confirming what your deepest instincts have been trying to tell you. Read it. Sit with it.
They want you to know what it cost you to stay kind in a world that did not always reward kindness. They see the nights that no one else witnessed. They see the silent surrenders you made, the words you chose not to speak, the anger you swallowed rather than inflict, the forgiveness you extended that cost you something genuinely real. They have been observing every single moment of it from a vantage point that makes the full beauty of your character visible in a way that partial human observation cannot achieve. And their message is not a gentle suggestion. It is a declaration delivered through them with the complete force of their love for you. Stop accepting less than you were built to receive. Not as criticism of choices you made in good faith, but as the urgent, uncompromising insistence of someone who loves you too deeply to stand by and watch you navigate another season at the reduced version of your life. They would have told you this themselves if the days had permitted it. Today, I am delivering it in their stead. Do not receive this as something to simply weep over, though if the tears come, let them come. Tears are a healthy response to this kind of love breaking through the veil to find you. Receive this as fuel, as the specific and irreplaceable courage that only arrives when you understand that the people who truly saw you are still seeing you, still rooting for you, still utterly convinced that you are worth every extraordinary thing heaven has assembled in your name. Now I am taking you directly into the financial dimension of your life, because what has been happening here is directly connected to the M situation in ways that may not have been visible until this moment. You have been living inside a season of financial pressure, not the background noise of ordinary financial navigation that everyone manages. Something far more pointed than that. A pressure that arrives from multiple directions simultaneously, as though the sources of constriction coordinated their timing deliberately. Expenses that appeared without warning, resources that were expected and then failed to arrive on the schedule you had counted on. A specific financial situation, one you have brought to heaven in prayer more than once, that has resisted resolution in a way that feels almost strategic in its persistence. I have seen all of this. I have seen the exact numbers. I have seen every prayer that accompanied them, and I have heard every quiet appeal for heaven to intervene. Understand this about what has been occurring. The adversary's primary strategy against a person whose destiny carries a specific level of abundance is never a direct assault on the abundance. It is to create drain. Slow, consistent, difficult to identify drain through relationships, obligations, and emotional weight that prevents the posture of receptivity that abundance requires to land and remain. The person M and the cumulative cost of what this connection has extracted from you over time has been functioning as exactly this kind of drain on your capacity, including the capacity to recognize and ACT on financial opportunities when they appear directly in front of you. When the M connection is resolved, and I am telling you, it is being resolved beginning today, you will notice something unexpected shift in the financial architecture of your life. A clarity, a renewed capacity to see options that the fog of this season had rendered completely invisible. A movement of provision that has been waiting at the boundary of your life for the right conditions to advance. I am not speaking about vague future comfort. I am speaking about a specific financial shift that will become visible to you within the next 14 days. Something tangible enough that when it arrives, you will say with absolute certainty, that was the hand of God. Mark this. Write down this specific promise made in this specific message on this specific day. When the 14-day evidence arrives, I want your testimony to be complete. I want you to be able to declare, I was told 14 days ago. And today, it happened. Because that testimony is not just for you. That testimony is a weapon that will dismantle the doubt of someone in your life who is desperately trying to believe that heaven is still in the business of providing for those who trust it. Now hear this clearly, because I am addressing something personal about your financial story. There is a habit of self-neglect in this area that I am naming plainly. You have placed your own financial needs at the bottom of every priority list. You give generously to others. You sacrifice consistently for the people around you whose needs you can see and respond to. And then you turn to what remains after the giving, and you make do. You have told yourself a story that says, this is what faithfulness looks like. And while generosity is a hallmark of faithfulness, hear what I am telling you. I did not design generosity to to be the systematic depletion of the giver. I designed generosity to be an act of overflow. The river does not give from its lack. It gives because it is continuously replenished at its source. Caring for yourself financially, saying no to the drain and yes to the replenishment. Receiving without the guilt that so frequently shadows your receiving. These are not acts of selfishness. They are acts of stewardship over the resources I have entrusted to a person I intend to use significantly. How you manage what I give you now, is preparation for how you will manage what I am about to release in greater measure. Receive without apology. That instruction begins today.
This image. This is the one that speaks to everything he has just said about what has been draining from you and what is about to flow back in. This is a picture of provision, of what abundance looks like when it is held in heaven's hands and prepared specifically for the one it belongs to. Look at this and understand. This is not a beautiful scene. This is your scene. This is what is being assembled for you right now.
Now, I am going to tell you about what the adversary calculated when he assigned this interference to your life, because there is something critically important in understanding where his strategy failed. When the plan was designed to use person M and this relational complexity as a mechanism of delay against your destiny, there was a core assumption built into that plan. The assumption was that the accumulated weight of confusion and emotional fatigue would eventually cause you to reduce your expectations. That the repeated experience of reaching for something real and finding it hollow would teach your hope to set its sights lower. That the sustained cost of continued faithfulness would eventually seem too high, and you would settle for less connection than you were made for. Settle for a diminished vision of your own life. Settle for a version of the future that required less faith because the stakes had been quietly compressed into something manageable and therefore small. That was the calculation. That is what the interference was specifically designed to produce. And here is precisely where the calculation failed. You are still here. You still believe. The size of what you are asking heaven for has not been reduced to match the smallness of your disappointing seasons. Somewhere beneath the weariness, beneath the fog, beneath every layer of the M confusion, there is still a version of you that knows what it was built for and refuses to negotiate that down to something less. I have been watching that inner knowing resist the pressure to diminish. It was not loud. It was not triumphant. In the hardest moments, it was barely a whisper. But it did not go silent. And that whisper, that barely there, battered but intact refusal to stop believing in the full-sized version of your destiny, that is the thing that unmade the strategy against you. Because the strategy only works when the person surrenders their expectation. You kept yours, hidden, exhausted, worn down, but refusing to release it. And because you kept it, everything the adversary's longest campaign attempted to permanently close off, I am reopening today. Everything it attempted to permanently take, I am restoring today. Not because you earned it through flawless performance, but because you held on to the one thing that made restoration possible. The refusal to stop believing heaven was moving, even when you could not see it move. This is the moment I have been building toward in your life. This is precisely why the decree I carry today was written for today and not for an earlier date. You had to arrive at this level of understanding through the accumulation of this season's full experience. You had to reach the place where the truth I am speaking today would land in fully prepared soil. Not soil hardened by inexperience, not soil that receives a seed enthusiastically and then lets it perish for lack of root depth, but the deep, broken up, completely prepared soil of a person who has been through enough to know the difference between spiritual platitude and genuine divine declaration. You can receive this fully because you have paid the price of preparation, and the harvest on prepared soil does not insult the cost of the breaking. It honors it. It yields 100-fold, and that is exactly what is coming. Stop now and take a breath, not a performed breath, an honest one. Let your shoulders drop from wherever they have been locked. Unclench whatever has been clenched since before you can even remember clenching it. Let the air move all the way down before you release it. Good. That breath carries a permission inside it. Permission to stop bracing for the next blow. Permission to let these words mean exactly what they say, rather than filtering them through a defense against another disappointment. Permission to receive from a source that has never broken a single promise and is not beginning today. Now, let me stay connected to you through this channel as we continue. If someone in your life needs to hear what has been spoken so far in this message, send it to them. A word sent in obedience finds its own way to the heart that needs it. And leave a word in the comments below to mark this moment. Simply write the word decree, one word, because in doing so you are declaring to heaven, I received what was sent. I am standing under the declaration that was spoken over my life today. And heaven responds to that kind of intentional, deliberate reception.
This one, of all the cards in today's envelope, this is the one I want you to hold on to after this video ends, because this is not about the past. This is about what just happened. What the enemy assumed would work against you failed. And heaven is declaring that right now in black and white. Read it.
Now, I must go deeper into the M situation, into the part that is the most difficult to look at directly, but the most essential to fully grasp before you can move forward without carrying it. There is a history between you and this person that involves trust, extended in good faith, that was not honored in full. A specific moment or a specific pattern of moments where something was shared in confidence and the confidence was not entirely kept, where something was exposed in genuine vulnerability and the vulnerability was not entirely protected. You may have told yourself, you have forgiven this, and perhaps in the extraordinary generosity of your spirit, you have moved toward that forgiveness genuinely and with real intention. But understand this distinction. There is a difference between the decision to forgive and the completion of a forgiveness process. What I am observing in your spirit is that the wound from those moments is still actively shaping your present. Not as burning bitterness, you processed most of the anger long ago, as a chronic low-grade alertness, a hypervigilance specifically in the spaces where this person is concerned, a part of you that cannot fully relax in their presence because it has already been taught by experience that full relaxation in their presence carries a historical cost. I am not addressing this by commanding you to forgive faster or more completely. I am telling you this: the alertness your spirit has developed around this person is not a spiritual failure. It is accumulated wisdom. The spirit is not wrong to develop protective responses around patterns that have repeatedly demonstrated themselves. The challenge is not the protective responses themselves. The challenge is when those responses become the permanent state, even after the source of the pattern has been removed. Because what happens then is that the reflexes formed in the presence of this specific person begin shaping how you engage with people and opportunities that have nothing to do with person M. The guard rises in spaces where it must be lowered. The waiting for the other shoe drops in situations where there is no other shoe. The hesitation before allowing someone new to come close comes not from anything that person has done, but from what person M trained your nervous system to expect. This is the secondary damage I am specifically dismantling today. What is coming into your life next requires you to receive without the full guard perpetually raised. Learned caution is reactive, tight, rooted in memory. Spirit-led discernment is calm, clear, rooted in peace. I am restoring the distinction between them in you today. I am commanding your nervous system to release the position it has been holding and return to accurate response rather than memory-driven bracing. This does not mean becoming naive. This does not mean surrendering the wisdom this season has forged in you. It means bringing the wisdom forward while leaving the fear behind. It means entering your next relational chapter as someone who knows their value precisely enough that they no longer need to test for it in every interaction. Someone who can recognize safety when it is genuinely present because they are no longer filtering everything through the lens of what unsafe felt like. That is the person I am restoring. That is the version of you the next chapter of your life requires. And the restoration does not begin after the M situation resolves externally. It begins here, in this moment. As a decision of the spirit to release the grip that learned caution has locked around the posture of your heart. Make that decision today, not as a performance, not as a declaration that everything is already healed, but as a genuine willingness to be led out of the position of chronic defensiveness and into the open field of expectant trust. Say it quietly right now. Say, I am willing to be restored to openness. Just those 6 words, offered honestly from wherever you are enough. Heaven does not require eloquence. It requires sincerity, and sincerity from your lips, spoken quietly in the middle of your ordinary day, activates something in the spiritual realm that no elaborate ceremony could improve upon. Good. Something shifted just now. Do not dismiss what you just felt. That was real.
This is what Archangel Michael calls the lighthouse image. He includes this one in letters specifically when someone has been navigating in fog for a long time, and the clearing is about to begin. A lighthouse does not chase the ship. It stands in its position and it shines. And the ship that was lost finds its way, not because the lighthouse moved to find it, but because the light was faithful enough to be seen when the ship finally came close enough to look. You are close enough now. Look at this.
Now, I want to speak about your purpose. because this is the dimension of your life. This entire season has been most directly targeting, and it is the dimension where the most significant activation is about to occur. There is something you carry that was placed inside you long before the complications of your adult life arranged themselves around you. Something that, in your youngest years, before the world began instructing you on who you needed to be acceptable, expressed itself naturally. A way of seeing, a way of connecting. A gift that did not even feel like a gift because it felt as effortless as breathing, so obvious to you that you assumed it was equally obvious to everyone in the room. A capacity for something, whether it is understanding, creating, healing, speaking, leading, or nurturing in one specific and irreplaceable way that, when fully expressed, produces something in the people around you that no one else in the room can replicate. That specific, irreplaceable thing, I placed it in you as an assignment, not as a personality trait, not as a pleasant characteristic, as a piece of the divine design that the world genuinely needs in a way that no one else meets to the same degree. You may have spent years compressing it so it would not make others uncomfortable. You may have been told, perhaps by someone in the M category of your life, that you were too much, that what you brought was disproportionate to what was needed, that you should dial it back. And some part of you, in the way that perceptive people absorb criticism delivered with sufficient authority, absorbed that message and has been partially operating from it ever since. I am dismantling that message today, thoroughly, permanently. You are not too much. The calling on your life is not disproportionate. The gift I placed in you is not an inconvenience to the people around you. What you perceived as being too much was simply you encountering people who were not yet ready to receive at the level you were designed to give. That is a misalignment problem. It is not a you problem. The audience for what you carry was never the people who found it excessive. The audience for what you carry is the people who will encounter it and find in it the exact thing they had been searching for without knowing what to call it. Those people exist. They are already in your life, and more are coming. And the activation of your purpose, the full-scale release of the assignment you were born carrying, is part of what today's convergence is specifically designed to initiate. Within the next 30 days, an opportunity will present itself that is connected directly to this specific gift. It may look modest on the surface. A conversation, an invitation, a request that appears small but carries enormous divine intention behind it. When it presents itself, say yes. Before the familiar voice that has historically talked you out of your own expansion has a chance to assemble its list of reasons why you are not ready. You are ready. What you have lacked is not preparation. What you have lacked is the permission that comes from clearly hearing heaven confirm the time is now. Consider this your confirmation. The time is now. When the opportunity arrives, it will feel simultaneously like something you have been waiting for and something you never quite dared to believe would actually come. That specific combination of recognition and wonder is the unmistakable signature of a divine appointment. You will know it when it stands in front of you, and I will be standing in it, waiting for you. I am returning now to Person M for a final and critically important declaration. Within the next 96 hours, something will surface about this person that fills a gap in your understanding you did not know how to fill. 96 hours. Hold that number. This is not a vague someday promise. This is a specific divine timing. Within 4 days of receiving this message, information or a shift in circumstances will become available that makes the pattern I have been describing today undeniable. Not necessarily through drama or confrontation. It may arrive as quietly as a realization assembling itself in your own mind during an ordinary moment of stillness. It may be something someone says without understanding its significance to you. It may be a change in this person's own behavior that removes every remaining ambiguity about the nature of their intentions. When this occurs, your initial response will be complicated. There will be grief in it. Confirmation of what you already suspected still carries the sting of losing the last remnants of hoping it was different. There will be relief because the exhausting work of maintaining deliberate uncertainty is more costly than most people acknowledge, and having it resolved, even in the harder direction, lifts a weight. And there will be something else, something quieter than both of those, a steadiness that was not there before. The specific steadiness that arrives in a person who has heard the truth and decided to build on it rather than continuing to build on the comfortable but unstable ground of wishful interpretation. That steadiness is the foundation of your next chapter. Receive it. It is worth everything it cost to arrive here.
96 hours. He declared it in the letter, and now he has also put it on this card. When Archangel Michael writes something both in the letter and places it separately on a card like this, that is when I pay the most attention. This is not a suggestion. This is a divine countdown. Read this carefully and keep it somewhere you will see it in the next 4 days.
Now I am going to describe the love that is coming, not in vague language, not in poetry designed to comfort, with the specific, grounded, honest language of someone who has already seen it assembled and is describing precisely what is there. The person I have been preparing for your life carries a quality I want you to know about before they arrive, so that you recognize them correctly and do not dismiss them because they come in packaging you were not expecting. This person knows how to be still in a world that mistakes constant motion for importance and noise for substance. This person has developed the discipline of stillness. They can sit in a room with you without needing to fill every silence with performance. They can hear hard things without their first response being self-defense. They can be wrong without it threatening their identity, which means they can be honest in a way that self-protecting people are categorically incapable of. They have been shaped by their own version of a difficult season. Not the same shape as yours, but the same quality of fire. And because they have been through the fire, they will recognize it in you without flinching from it. They will not be intimidated by the depth of what you carry. They will sit in it with you and call it beautiful, because they will have the spiritual maturity to understand that depth is not a burden. It is a gift. This person will not require managing. You have spent far too much of your relational energy managing the emotions, expectations, and fragile interior of someone who required exhausting, careful handling to remain present. With the person who is coming, all of that energy is freed, redirected into the simple, sustainable, life-giving work of being fully yourself in in the presence of someone who wants exactly that. Nothing curated, nothing edited, just you. The full, unguarded, always extraordinary you. And they will consider themselves genuinely fortunate to have access to it. I am telling you this not to offer a fantasy to escape into. I am telling you this to give your hope a specific and legitimate target. Because hope without a specific object eventually becomes wishful thinking, and wishful thinking eventually becomes cynicism. I am not willing to allow you to arrive at cynicism. The love I have described is real. It is in motion. It is coming in the season that begins on the other side of the M resolution. And the M resolution, as I have already told you, begins today. While I have your full attention here, I must name something that almost no one speaks about directly in a season like yours. The particular loneliness of being completely surrounded by people and still feeling profoundly unseen. Not the scene of usefulness and reliability, but the scene of the person behind all of the function, the interior life, the unvoiced dreams, the questions no one has thought to ask you, because the people around you assumed that someone who gives as consistently as you do has no reservoir of personal need. That assumption has quietly cost you a great deal. I see what those connections missed, all of it, seen, known, honored, not eventually, not when you perform better or present yourself more palatably. Now, in this moment, as these words reach you, you are fully seen by the one whose seeing matters most of all. Let that land before we move forward. Now I'm giving you 5 declarations, not suggestions, not affirmations you can take or leave. 5 living commands that, when spoken aloud daily with genuine intention, function as spiritual anchors for the transformation that is occurring in your life starting today. Begin this practice tomorrow morning, before the first obligation of your day makes its demand on your attention, before the phone delivers its first instruction, in the first moments when your spirit is most available and most receptive. Stand when you say them. Lift your chin when you say them. Speak them as announcements rather than requests, because what I am giving you are not things you are petitioning heaven to consider. They are already true. You are simply aligning your voice with what is already written over your life. The first, I am not defined by the season I survived. I am defined by the God who carried me through it and the purpose that is erupting from the other side. The second, the person who could not recognize my worth was not sent to diminish me. They were sent to reveal the level of my value by the full cost of its absence. The third, I release every person and every pattern that has occupied the space where my breakthrough was designed to arrive. I release it today. I release it completely, without resentment and without returning to retrieve it. The fourth, the provision I need is not withheld from me. It is in motion. And today, I stand in the posture of one who expects it to arrive, because heaven has promised it, and heaven does not negotiate away from its word. The fifth, I am not waiting to become ready. I am ready now for the love, the purpose, the expansion, the deep and genuine peace that heaven has been preparing as my inheritance. I step into it today, and I refuse to step back out. Speak those 5 declarations every morning for 21 consecutive days. Not because heaven needs repetition, but because your own mind needs 21 days to fully displace the counter-narrative this difficult season assembled inside you. On day 21, what felt like declarations you were laboring to believe on day one will feel like simple, obvious descriptions of your actual reality. That is the result of aligning the daily vocabulary of your life with the existing truth of heaven's intention for it. Do the 21 days. You will not regret it.
This is the image I want every person watching this right now to truly see. Not just look at, see. Because what Archangel Michael is describing in this letter, the love that is coming, the connection that was built specifically for you in Heaven's workshop. This is what it looks like when a soul is prepared to receive it, when the guard finally comes down, when the armor of a difficult season gives way to genuine rest. Look at this image and let your spirit say, "That is what is coming for me."
Now, there is something I must tell you about the people who doubted you in this season. Hear the purpose behind these words before you decide how to receive them. There were voices that assigned you a permanently limited version of your story. Voices that observed you in the hardest chapter you have walked through and drew conclusions about your capacity, your judgment, your worth, formed entirely from the visible evidence of a pressured season rather than the full picture of who you are. Some of those voices belong to strangers. Some of them, the ones that left the deepest marks, belonged to people close enough that their opinion carried weight. People whose assessment you actually cared about. People whose revised estimation of you during your most difficult season added another layer to weight you were already struggling to carry. I am addressing this directly. The people who formed their conclusion about you during your most pressured moment were reading a single paragraph out of a much longer book and declaring it the complete summary. The paragraph was hard. It showed someone under more concentrated pressure than any single chapter of a life should be required to hold. But a paragraph does not a person define. The chapters that come after the hard ones are going to tell a story that fundamentally revises every conclusion drawn from the difficult section, not through argument, not through rehabilitation campaigns or self-advocacy, simply through the undeniable evidence of a life that was not finished when people decided it was, a life that kept going, kept choosing, and today said yes to heaven and stepped into the season that rewrites the narrative permanently. Your vindication is coming in the form of your visible flourishing. That is the only vindication worth having, not the satisfaction of watching those who dismissed you encounter their own failure, not the pleasure of a dramatic reversal scene, but the simple, profound, undeniable evidence of a life that is genuinely abundant, genuinely at peace, genuinely walking in purpose. When the people who drew their limited conclusions see it, something will shift in them. Some will feel the quiet discomfort of knowing their assessment was incomplete. Some will reach out, surprised by the impulse. Some will simply become silent spectators of a story they profoundly underestimated. In every case, your response is identical. Graciousness, not as performance. As the natural posture of someone who no longer requires external validation because they have been validated by the only source whose validation was ever truly necessary. This is maturity. This is what arrives on the other side of a season like yours. Not hardness, not the sealed determination never to be vulnerable again, but a settled quality a groundedness in your own identity that cannot be disturbed by the assessments of people who saw you on your worst days and mistook it for your permanent condition. That settled quality is already forming in you. I see it. It has been building through every moment of this difficult season that you chose honesty over pretense, kept moving over giving up, chose to ask heaven for clarity rather than accepting the comfortable interpretation that would have made it easier to stay stuck. The building is almost complete, and what is being built is extraordinary.
When Archangel Michael wants to say something about what is coming, rather than what is currently happening, he writes it on these cards and places them in a specific order inside the envelope. This one was placed near the bottom. The bottom cards are always about what is ahead, not behind. This declaration is about the person who has been prepared for your life. And it is direct, it is certain, and it will resonate in your spirit the moment you read it.
Now, I want to speak about the angelic activity surrounding your life in this season in a way you have felt, but not fully identified. There have been specific moments in the last several weeks where you almost made a decision that would have significantly complicated your path forward, a response you almost sent, and then inexplicably paused, a direction you almost moved in, and then a quiet inner resistance stopped you cold, a conversation whose tone somehow shifted before the costly words fully formed themselves on your tongue. Those pauses were not indecision. Those were angelic intervention. Specifically, mine. I have been active in those micro moments of your daily life, working in the fractions of a second where choices form before they are made, redirecting what was about to move in a costly direction. You have been protected not just from the large, visible attacks, but from the small, seemingly ordinary decisions that accumulate over time into the full trajectory of an entire life. Hear what I'm telling you about this. There are no casual observers in the throne room regarding your life. Every small movement matters. Every prayer offered matters, including the ones that felt insufficient, the ones that were not articulate requests, but groans lifted upward in sheer exhaustion. I heard every one of them. I received every one of them, and they have been producing effects in the invisible realm that are about to become visible in the physical dimensions of your world. You have not been praying into silence. You have been praying into activity. The response has been assembling itself. And today, it begins its arrival in forms you can see, touch, and testify about.
This image, he always includes a guardian image. Every single time a letter speaks directly about protection from angelic warfare, there is an image like this one inside the envelope. Because the letter is not only words, the images are part of the message. And this one is saying to you visually what Archangel Michael has been saying to you in words. You have not been unguarded for a single moment of this entire season. Not one moment. Look at this and believe it.
I am bringing this message into its final movement, and this final movement carries the full combined weight of everything that has been built throughout this hour. Because what I declare in these closing moments is what I am commanding you to carry into the days ahead, not as words you heard once, as convictions that live in the marrow of your bones. You arrived at this message today as someone in a difficult season, navigating a complicated situation with person M, feeling the financial pressure of a constricted chapter, carrying the weight of a loss the living world does not always make adequate space to grieve, and wondering beneath all of it whether the promises spoken over your life in quieter and more believing moments still stand. I am answering that directly and finally. Yes, they stand. Not some of them, all of them. Not in reduced form, not in the edited for current conditions version, but in their full original statement, exactly as they were first written over your life before the complications of your story added their amendments. Heaven's promises are not subject to the revisions that circumstance attempts to make. The difficulty of your season was never a renegotiation of the terms. It was always and only preparation for the fullness of their fulfillment. The decree I carried for you today contains specific commitments I am naming clearly before I close. A 96-hour window in which the truth about the M situation becomes undeniable and the fog of confusion lifts permanently. A 14-day movement of provision in the financial dimension that serves as physical evidence of the shift today initiates. A 30-day arrival of a divine connection opportunity related to the purpose you were born carrying. A convergence of multiple streams of your destiny beginning today and flowing forward in a direction that cannot be reversed. These are not poetic images. These are specific declarations sealed by the authority of heaven, delivered through this channel with full divine intention. Write them down. Put today's date beside them. Revisit them as each timeline arrives. Let the evidence of heaven keeping its word build in you a quality of trust that carries you through every future season, regardless of how the circumstances arrange themselves around you.
The last prediction card in today's envelope, and I want to be very clear about what this word says: vindication. Archangel Michael uses that word carefully. He does not use it to describe something small or temporary. When he writes this word on a card and places it inside a sealed envelope, it means the season of being misread, overlooked, or underestimated is over. And the evidence is coming, not as an announcement, as a life, your life. Read this.
Before you leave this message, I am requiring one thing from you on behalf of someone else. There is a person in your life right now who is standing where you stood 6 months ago. They are in the middle of their own M situation, their own version of this pressure. They have not yet received the clarity you have just received today, and they are at real risk of making or avoiding a decision that will cost them significantly. You know who I am describing. Their face is already in your mind right now. Send this message to them, not as a general gesture, as a specific, targeted act of love directed at a specific person who needs exactly what was in this sealed decree. When you do, you will activate something simultaneously in their story and in your own, because the act of becoming a vessel that delivers heaven's word to someone who needs it positions you as an instrument of the divine, and instruments of the divine are consistently replenished from the source that flows through them. Give this word away generously. Let it find every person it was assembled to reach, and return to this channel. Letters from Archangel Michael was built to be your consistent frequency of heaven's voice speaking into your real and specific circumstances. Not once, not occasionally, consistently, Subscribe. Come back. Let every new message find you in the growing season today initiates. The word you receive here next week will speak directly into the situation that today's word sets in motion. The word after that will speak into the chapter that opens when the 96-hour window delivers its clarity. This is a covenant of communication, not a single broadcast. Stay connected. Every time you return to this space, heaven is telling you, I have not run out of things to speak into your life. I have not run out of ways to guide your steps. I am not finished working here, and I am not finished speaking. Come back, listen, receive.
The last image in today's envelope is always the vision image, the picture of what is ahead, not what has been, not what is currently being navigated, what is coming. Archangel Michael places this one at the very bottom of the envelope on purpose, so that it is the last physical thing you see before the letter reaches its final declaration. Look at this path. Look at where it is going, and understand that this is not a beautiful scene he is showing you. This is your actual path. From today forward, open, lit, moving towards something extraordinary.
Now, the final declaration of today's sealed decree. I am speaking this over you with every ounce of divine authority carried in the name Archangel Michael, and I am calling the full company of heaven to bear witness to what is being sealed over your life in this exact moment. You are not defined by who mishandled your love. You are defined by the love that created you, that sustained you through every season that attempted to destroy you, and that stands behind every promise spoken over you today. The days of navigating in the fog are finished. The season of chronic confusion about your own worth and the intentions of those around you is ending right now, at this exact moment of your receiving. The financial constriction that has been squeezing the space where abundance was designed to flow is being broken open today, and provision is being released in your direction with the full force of heaven's intention behind it. The purpose planted inside you before you drew your first breath, the one this difficult season tried repeatedly to silence, is being fully activated today, and the world that needs what you carry is already being moved toward you. The love that was made for you, the kind that does not waver, does not retreat, does not require you to edit yourself to be safe inside it, is in motion. It is close, and it carries the unmistakable quality of something heaven built with careful, loving, fully attentive hands. You are seen, fully, not just the presentable version, all of it, and you are loved in all of it, without reservation, without condition, without a single asterisk attached. That love is not something you are working toward. It is the ground you are already standing on. It has been the ground you were always standing on, even in the seasons when you could not feel it beneath your feet. It is there. It is unshakable. And every promise spoken over you today rests on it with the full weight of the eternal behind it. This was your sealed decree, delivered today, opened by your willingness to receive, activated by your decision to say yes, and now carried forward into your life by the force of heaven that does not speak without also moving to fulfill what it has spoken. Go forward from today differently, not with a performed confidence that experience has not yet built, with a quiet certainty The certainty of someone who has just heard the highest authority in the universe speak specifically and truthfully into their situation. The certainty of someone who knows what is coming, because the one who is sending it just described it in detail. The certainty of someone who is no longer navigating in fog, because the lighthouse of heaven's truth has cut through every layer of confusion and aimed its beam directly at the safe harbor that was always the destination. Walk toward it. Walk steadily. Walk without looking backward at what releasing the M season costs you, because what stands on the other side of that cost is so far beyond comparison that backward looking simply will not survive first contact with what is ahead. Heaven knows what it is asking you to release. Heaven also knows precisely what it is preparing to place in the hands that release it. Trust that knowledge. Trust the one who carries it. And let today be the day that trust became the permanent language your life speaks in. With every degree of divine love and authority I carry, from the throne room of heaven to the specific moment of your specific day, this message was written for you, delivered to you, and sealed over you today. Return when you need the next word, and know that when you do, I will be here, exactly as faithful as every promise I have ever spoken, without exception, without variation, without end. Archangel Michael, your guardian, your warrior, your unwavering voice from the halls of heaven. Until the next delivery. Amen and amen.
I opened 7 letters this morning before I opened this one. And I will tell you something honestly. Each of those 7 letters was important, real, genuine words from Archangel Michael for real people in real situations. But not one of those 7 letters had me sitting in front of this camera praying 3 times before I pressed record. This letter had that. And if you have stayed from the beginning of this video to right now, your spirit already knows why. Because something in what Archangel Michael said in that letter today landed somewhere real in you, not just words you heard, something that recognized itself. That feeling is not incidental. That is confirmation that this letter was sealed with your name on it before it ever arrived at this table. The 96 hours, the 14 days, the 30 days, when he is that specific, when he places numbered timelines in a letter and puts them on the card separately. In my experience of receiving his letters every single day, that level of specificity means one thing: it is already in motion, not will be, is, right now, as you sit wherever you are sitting, as you breathe. The thing he described in that letter is already moving in your direction. So here is what I need from you right now. Leave the word decree in the comments below this video right now before you move on. Not as a ritual, as a marker, as you drawing a line in today's date and saying to heaven and to yourself, I was here, I received this. I am not going back to the way things were before I heard this word. And subscribe to this channel right now if you have not already. I want to tell you something about why that matters. Tomorrow morning, more letters arrive at this table. They arrive every single day, each one sealed, each one assembled for someone specific. And I will be sitting right here at this table, going through them, feeling the weight of each one, setting aside the ordinary and waiting for the one that carries the urgency, tomorrow's urgent letter. I do not know yet who it is for, but I know this. If you are subscribed, if you are here when I open it, and something in you recognizes it the way you recognize this one today. You will not miss it, and you will not have to wish you had been here. Subscribe. Come back tomorrow, and the day after that. The last image Archangel Michael placed in this envelope today was this one: the path forward, open, lit from the horizon, moving towards something that has no resemblance to the season you have been surviving. That is your path from today. Open, lit, moving forward until tomorrow's letter. I am Dorothy, and this has been Letters from Archangel Michael.